Coach D'Amico's here, Fear Coach. Instagram, Fear Coach. Twitter, Fear Coach. That's the dog. My other Instagram, at Coaching for Black Men. And I have to share a few thoughts with you all of something that's very concerning to our community. And that is black cisgender is supposedly basically black men who are born men, who are assigned the male gender by their physician, by the doctor, by the person who birthed them. At birth, there was their assigned gender. Our assigned gender was male, right? So natural born men, supposedly heterosexual men who have discrete relations with trans women. These are women who were once assigned the gender of a male and later on in life identified themselves as a female, as a woman. So we all know about the Malik Yoba thing. I'm going to be honest, I ain't the biggest Malik Yoba fan. And it's not because of all the allegations. It's just that I feel that he takes himself way too seriously, and he wants every single word to be deeply considered, you know. So, and when he spoke up in the Breakfast Club interview, I just didn't like the way that he was, you know, interjecting and took over basically the whole interview. You know, I'm pretty sure his intentions were good. You know, his heart was probably in the right place. It's just that he was, I'm just not the biggest fan of him, you know, in that instance, especially when it comes to this leading this whole segue for this whole conversation that needs to take place and has needed to take place, had taken place for a very long time. So, again, much respect to what, Mr. Yoba has been out there doing and advocating for, and as he's continuously learned throughout the process, he's been open to learning, because I know how hard it is to want to have to sit there and learn from people and in front of others, you know, so which is very hard because you got to really let down a lot of your own bravado and ego. So respect to him for that in that regard. Again, still not the biggest fan of the guy. I do want to say though, so I did learn a few things during the interview. I definitely want to say this. I want to say I learned that that it's important to care, because I was definitely on the board. The train of thought, Charlemagne, is Kevin Hart, and I feel a lot of most black men is we don't really care what's going on in your bedroom. We don't. You know, what you do and who you do it with ain't my business. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that's what it becomes. That's what it feels like. But at the end of the day, I learned in that interview, we should care, because it's not necessarily about the person who's initiating the heterosexual man that's initiating these relations. More so about those who actually live these lifestyles, alternative lifestyles, queer lifestyles on the outside world. Those are the ones who are impacted by it most and feel its gravity immediately. So we should care. You know, we should care. So that changed my position on that when it comes to this topic, this area. So that's one of the things I learned from that interview that really changed me, my perception. And there was a few other things too that I thought was really good about the interview. I didn't get to watch the video. I listened to the entire video because I was at work, so I was just listening while I work. Listen while you work. I'm just playing. But but it was, I'm definitely grateful that they went up there, that the Breakfast Club was bold to have them on, because, they're a very popular platform, very macho platform in a lot of retrospects. And the black community looks up to them in a multitude of ways. And they've been kind of a thought leader in the whole mental space and in having uncomfortable conversations of things that have been toxifying our community anyway. So shout out to Breakfast Club for that. Shout out to Charlemagne on that as well. I know a lot of times we don't agree with Charlemagne and a lot of things he says, but we also agree with most things that he says. It's just that when he says things that are kind of insensitive or off base, or he's just being a human being, and to us it's like, dang, Charlemagne, you're not really that aware of how when you misspeak it causes mountains to move. You don't know how much it impacts the lives of millions of people. And, we want him to always kind of feel that gravity when he misspeaks. But at the same time, we as listeners and as fans gotta keep in mind that he's a human being as well. And he's going through this experience just as much as we are. So, and he's growing and developing. He's come from his older ways of thinking and his era of lifestyle and etc. So, big salute to Charlamagne. Big salute to Angela Yee. I know a lot of people always give Charlamagne the credit for this. Well, give him a lot of praise and then envy for his real estate stuff. But Yee is a very key figure, and I love to hear her voice when it creeps up in the interviews, especially these pivotal ones. I would have loved to see her really kind of go create a dialogue with the trans woman about the whole black girls rocks things, as far as black girl rocks not acknowledging black trans women, or even black trans men. So I would have loved them to kind of have that dialogue and let that unfold, because there's a lot I'm interested about. I don't even, I would like to see how this comes out, because I don't even know what to do with it, or how to deal with it, or how to think about it really. So shout out to you, and of course shout out to DJ Envy, the family influencer. He has a beautiful family. He's always posting them on the gram and stuff. They become like marriage goals for a lot of us. Anyway, so getting to the subject. So this is a subject that's kind of, is vital to me, mostly because it affects the black families. Being that when a lot of men who have these discrete relations with trans women, and queer men, gay men, and I say queer because it's a sum of, I know the LGBTIQA, QI, Q something, and plus at the end. I know it's different types, so I just sum it all as queer. That's what I learned that the correct sum of it was. But correct me if I'm wrong. Leave a comment, please. Learning process for us all. That when they had these relationships with these alternate, these queer folk, that it risks our community, puts our community at risk, because we're talking about them having unprotected sex with queer folk. We're talking about them financially making financial decisions with queer folk in discrete ways that again harms their family. We're talking about the time that it takes away from their family. And most importantly, the women that is affecting, that is leaving in the dark, that when they find out, these women become devastated. These women become traumatized. These women are gravely impacted in ways that, again, affects our community, because they're going to go on and date the next guy, but be carrying with them all the suspicions that they had never considered and never had from their previous marriage or their previous relationship with a guy who was being discreet with queer men, and trans women. So that's how it affects us, especially being that, African American gay men and bi men lead the nation in HIV infected, when it comes to being infected by HIV. All right. And then black women, African American women, lead when it comes to heterosexuals with HIV. And black men are right behind black women. And it's like, if you have to put it together, two and two together. If when it comes to overall, the leaders are black gay men and bi men, and the hetero on the straight side is women, black women, who's connecting those dots because they're not having sex with each other? You guessed it. All right, it's the heterosexual males, or even the bi males who are African males, black men, who are passing those that infection between both sexes. All right, that's just the truth of it all. So that's even another layer of why it's so dangerous, and why black men especially need to come out and be untruthful about this whole, their whole discrete interests, right? That discrete lifestyle. Now, a couple things. When I've been bringing this to my Instagram and to my social media platforms, my Facebook, is some women have, first off, the support has been awesome. Support. Because the thing is, I want black men overall to not shame other black men who have this interest. Don't mean you got to accept it. Doesn't mean you got to be buddy-buddy, have coffee with these motherfuckers. Just mean that these are your brothers. These are your black brothers first and foremost. No matter if they want to sleep with a woman who grew her hair or a man in a wig or a trans woman. It doesn't matter. He's still our brother at the end of the day. He's helping our community. He's an ally of our community, no matter his interests, right? We have to not shame him for it. You don't have to be applaud. We don't have to get in line and applaud him for it, but we can't shame him for it. Because what we do is we create an enemy or a person that becomes destructive of the community when they could be doing the latter, which is helping the community, continuously helping the community. They can be a continuous benefit to us. I don't know how many anime movies y'all gotta watch to see that the guy that always turns on the good people is always one of the guys that got kicked out the group, that got outcasted, they got shamed, they got ridiculed early on. He became the traitor. All right, I don't know how many anime films is gonna take y'all to learn that lesson. We have to stop creating nurturing traitors in our community when they were allies the entire time at the beginning. So again, we have to do on our part, as those of us who are traditionally heterosexual, on our part, we have to we have to eliminate the shame for them wanting to pursue the interests of that lifestyle. That's not ours. Doesn't mean, again, we got to get on board and go to the gay pride parade or anything like that. No, I don't mean that at all. It means that we have to go support them. That's on that end. So when it comes to, what was my point? I know my other point. So also, for the men that are living that way, this is not the video because I haven't really sat down and formulated and usually I do formulated the steps of how to, live your truth, and it's to step up. I like that they said that in the interview. Wasn't coming out the closet, it was stepping up. I haven't created a formula of how you can do that yet. I have worked with clients who've hidden their lifestyle and were afraid to exposing it, to the public and to their family. But I just want you to know that, as a black brother, I got your back. So, that's for any black brother, no matter your lifestyle choices, as long as it's not destructive to the community. I got your back. Even if it's something that I'm not completely behind, it's not something that I'm cool with or that I like or whatever, I still got your back. That's with anything. So especially this. So, a lot of, some, I'm not gonna say a lot, some women, and some men get caught up as like, oh, why are you so speaking up on trans? Black, you're the only dude that does this, who speaks on, the trans community, blah, 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 the black. You gotta think about it. What a lot of them don't know is, one, I'm a fear coach. So I'm always going to speak on the things that are affecting us the most, or affecting us critically, and that most people are shying away from talking about, don't want to talk about for various reasons. I'm the fear coach, so I got to be a representative of always speaking truth and shedding light on things that's going to help those allies in our community continue forward. And so that comes talking about trans topics and gay topics, black topics, happens in our community. And if it's affecting us in critical ways, then I'm going to be there talking about it and helping people through it, through their fears, through the fear aspect of it. And at the end of the day as well, no, I've never had any trans relationships at all. Like, no bi relationships, never did any of that stuff. That's not my thing at all. It's not my lingo. It's not my interest, on different social media sites. I think that's kind of a stereotype that gets thrown out. That's kind of, a bad stereotype, a negative stereotype, but it gets thrown out there as well, that trans men or trans women or gay men are like really aggressive and always trying to get at you. No, they ain't really like that. When I was a bouncer at a spot that was known to have a lot of gay nights, some gay nights, they were, most of them all of them were very respectful. I didn't have one gay dude try to push up on me or, smack my ass or no shit like that. They always say that, they can usually detect who has it or who's not. It's usually, they say it's usually really macho guys who are really against it and stuff. That's what a lot of gay coworkers would tell us anyway. So, but they can usually tell who's with it and who's not with it. But I made some really cool like relationships and like real cool like bonds with a lot of gay dudes that, you know, during my time as a bodyguard there. And again, never no disrespect, you know what I'm saying? And there was one event, they had like probably 500 gay dudes there, 500 gay dudes there, like no BS. And we was at capacity, and it was for this gay guy who was going away, moving to Texas, and I guess he had a huge following. And the event was sold out. It was nothing but gays in there, nothing, all types, trans as well. And I actually ended up hollering at one girl. I know she was a boy girl. She was a lesbian, but hey, she was, you know, she gave me some play. You know what I'm saying? I think I got a phone number that night. I definitely got an Instagram, but I think I got a phone number too. I think I did, but she was real cool. She was fine. But yeah, gays are cool, man. Plus, and what a lot of people don't know is that, and they're like, okay, why are you so, like, I'm comfortable speaking on this because, one, I know what I know, like, about myself, my own sexuality. I'm very comfortable with it. Women who dealt with me and who deal with me know how I rock, you know, when it comes to my sexuality. My tests are always coming out clean. I test yearly. I know they say you should test that. I think the app, what's the name of the clinic I just went to? It's one in Atlanta. It's pretty popular. It's called, not A Punch, A something. Damn, I wish I had the name. But anyway, they say you should test like every 120 days or something like that. But I always test once a year. You know, once a year has usually been good enough for me thus far. And I've been doing it since, 2023. I've been testing once every year. And my results has always come back clean. Now, I have some friends whose results ain't clean. You know, but I still love my friends, you know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. But also, a lot of people don't know is that, you know, I grew up, my uncle was a trans woman, you know, and he died in 97 from AIDS. He died from AIDS. You know, I grew up with him. Again, you know, he practically helped raise us. He was the only man that I had been around who never take anything from my mom, never put his hands on my mom, never abused my mom. And he was one of the early stand-up men that I had a lot of regard for, like I had respected, because he was also kind of stern, you know, like he didn't really smile a lot. Well, I ain't gonna say he didn't smile a lot. He didn't play a lot of games. And so he always kind of installed that, you know, that a little bit of fear in me, like, all right, Uncle Joseph ain't playing like that. You know what I'm saying? We could play with we could try everybody else, but we ain't try him like that. Because it was always Joseph crazy. You know what I'm saying? That was always the rumor. And Joseph was crazy. But you know, we always used to call him Mary Kay. That's what he wanted us to call him. And, you know, as a kid, you don't really understand these things. And then my mom used to have trans friends come around and stuff, and gay friends come around. And they were all just cool. Like, it was never no big, oh, he, she, he. It was just like, it was normal for me growing up. So it was like, being an adult growing up in society and seeing how a lot of black men, especially black men, because we're the worst at this. And then it follows black women. Seeing how we ostracize gay folk or people who are on the fence about it, people who are considering it, seeing how we make it how we treat, I'm not going to say make it a big deal, because these people's lives are a big deal, but like, especially to them, you know, because my life a big deal to me. So it's like, but making them feel like they shouldn't exist, or that they shouldn't be around, or that they shouldn't have the same rights and all this, you know, it was new to me because I never experienced that growing up. I always thought it was just as normal as having a regular dude come around or a regular woman coming around. So, you know, that was that. So, you know, that's why I have like a special respect when it comes to the trans community. My sister's a lesbian as well. So I grew up around this stuff. Like, I'm not really, it don't bother me or it don't make me feel any type of way. Still, just because I don't feel any type of way, I'm completely comfortable with it, doesn't mean many black men are. Doesn't mean many black women are. And especially those, again, who are hiding their lifestyle and being discreet with it and being a risk to the community. And that's the thing I want to encourage them is that seek me out. Seek out other coaches, seek out other therapists, clinicians on how to go about making that transition of living your truth, of stepping up, not coming out the closet, stepping up. Because when you don't, what you do is a risk. At the end of the day, it's a risk. It's a risk to yourself. It's a risk to those you love. And it's definitely a risk to the entire Black community. So that's my, my message to you all. That's my thoughts on it all. Again, this is never the fault of the women. I know a lot of the time, I want women, Black women especially, understand why they hide, because it's like he's living with you at the end of the day. He's not living with me. He ain't going to bed with me at night. He might go to bed with another man, but ain't with me. But, it's like he's afraid to lose you. He's afraid to lose his family. So it's not, but some Black women think because I bring that up of why, the result fear, because it's not the root fear. The root fear of why they, shy away from, being honest about their discrete interest in trans women or queer men is at the root of it all is, their fear of being, insignificant. Their fear of being insignificant, fear of being shamed, fear of not being accepted, being ousted by, the people they love, the community, but the end result fear of the tangible aspect of that is their fear of losing you, the person that they love, the woman that they help grow up with in a lot of instances, the woman that they help raise their kids with, the woman that they help go through the worst times with, the woman that helped them go through their worst times with. They don't want to lose that all in the overnight or over weekend capacity because of their a new interest that may have occurred or interest that's always been there, and they've hit again. They tried to bury it away. They thought it was going to be prayed away, pray to get away. They thought it was going to be, they get married, it will go away. They thought that if they just stayed away from it for a very long time, it'll go away. But it's that interest, that inkling, that part of them, they just can't let go or don't know how to let go or don't want to let go. Either way, they're hiding it from. And so, part of my speaking on it is to help those women understand that when we create those shameful environments within our relationships, this is for men. You can take this as well when you're dealing with women, because a lot of y'all women a lot of your wives are creeping as well. Don't think this is just a man problem. Don't try to eliminate the shameful environment when it comes to conversations that you're having about shaming, the shaming and condemning people, because best believe your partner is listening the entire time and absorbing the information and storing it. So you want to create a culture and environment, relationship around openness, around understanding, and around love. That doesn't mean you have to accept every piece of information to share, and this doesn't mean that she's going to accept this alternative interest of yours neither, or you have to accept hers. It's just you need to put it out there to give them a chance. If you truly love them, you got to give a person the freedom to love you. And with that freedom means, being honest with them, especially in matters that's critical to their health, critical to their lifestyle, critical to their legacy, So hopefully this video is useful. Please share it. Looking forward to all the feedback. Have any questions, post them below. If you have any advice, how to continue this conversation, definitely welcome to that as well. Post it below. Make sure y'all subscribe to the video. Stay in tune with our podcast. Me, Demikos, and I'm Demikos. Me and Mark Anthony, Black Men and Cigars. Every Monday we put up a new episode. So, all right, that's all I got to say, y'all. Remember, I'm about to go have my cigar right now, but remember, you had what it took the entire time. Find the courage now. All right.